Hey guys, can everybody hear me okay? Sorry, I'm like super close here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'll just wait for everybody to jump on. So great to have you all here. I can't wait to share so much of this with you guys. So you can just share with me in the chat group and make sure everybody can hear me as well. Hey guys. Di, I've just unmuted you. Can you just let me know if you can hear me okay? Not hearing anybody.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you. That's wonderful. Can you guys all hear me okay? I just want to make sure about that before we start. Beautiful. Welcome, everybody. It's so great to have you here. I am so excited. Oh my God, I've got like a week's worth of content to share with you guys. So we will jump into it in just a second. I just make sure that everybody's in that's going to join us. I'll share my screen in a second as well. Okay. Make sure in. Beautiful. Okie doke. So we might get started, guys. And please feel free to share in the chat section at any point, any questions that you have, simply because what I'll do is actually go right through and be 100% present with what I'm presenting, and then I want to answer any other questions and things afterwards as well. So let's get started. So of course we're here about stepping into, I'm still just kind of managing the screen here as well. So stepping into your power, money, particularly with money and relationships. And I think that this is so important on lots of levels. I just want to also bring up and beautiful. Okay, sorry guys, I'm just wanting to shuffle everything around so I can be really present with you guys. Okay, so obviously I'm super passionate about this, and a lot of you may actually not have seen anything like this before, but this was me before I actually really started on my pathway. This was when I was in one of my very unresourceful relationships. It was very damaging for my self-esteem, for my self-worth. I didn't like or love or appreciate myself at any point, or very little in this particular photo. We'd obviously just had a day skiing, and but in saying that, I wanted to pick that particular photo to, I guess, show, yes, there was a smile on the outside, but underneath I really honestly felt like really miserable at the time. And so fast forward quite a few years from that, and of course, you know, it's one of those like fancy pictures, and yes, it was very much like a photography shoot and everything else, but I really feel like that really felt like that was the transformation for me. And of course, you know, stepping forward a couple more years from that and then creating that soulmate relationship as well has been so important for me on lots of levels. So I'll just let in as well. So this has been so powerful, and for any of you that haven't met with me before, haven't spoken to me before, I should really introduce myself. So I literally started, my transformation came after a couple of huge life-changing events, which many of you know, but I'll just share really quickly for those of you that don't. Basically, my marriage broke down, which was a blessing in hindsight. It was very difficult at the time. I became a single mum. My girls were 5 and 7 at the time, and my mum passed away shortly afterwards, and I was left feeling just so grief-stricken, so full of anger and resentment, and really felt like a victim of the world. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate in sharing what I do share now is I wasn't in a healthy relationship, certainly not with myself, which again, you know, our relationships are just a reflection of really what's going on internally. It wasn't a supportive relationship in the true sense, and I just felt so restricted in so many ways. I felt controlled. I felt trapped within this situation. And that was both on a financial and an emotional level as well. I didn't believe that I was worth more, but I also felt extremely unloving if I'd chosen to actually leave that relationship. So I kept myself in this double bind situation, which was really tricky. Fast forward on, I, hit that moment in life where it was just like, I just can't stand how I'm actually showing up for my girls. My girls deserve so much more as a mum than what I was giving them at the time. And I was just devastated that, you know, that was how I seemed to be showing up for them as a mum. And so then and there, I really declared and vowed that I would take those steps forward to do whatever it took to really empower myself, to love myself, to learn how to love myself. I didn't have any clue. That was when I was 31, 32. And it really took me on this amazing path and journey to really discover so much more about myself and a lot of these triggers. And this is what I really want to be sharing with you guys today. And what I would suggest, definitely, if you haven't got pen and paper, make sure you've got pen and paper down, because as I start to talk about things, you may notice that some things are really triggered for you. And if that is the case, I'm definitely going to be giving you guys some tools around this. Some of you already know some of these tools, but the greatest outcome for today is really becoming more conscious of some of the unconscious stuff. And by that, I mean becoming more aware of what is actually really going on for you. I think when we're stressed, when we're busy, we can tend to ignore our feelings. We can tend to ignore, what's actually really going on for us at that deeper level, and kind of brush it aside or push it under the rug, or just go, oh yeah, it doesn't really matter. It's fine. This is just the way that it is. And I want you to really start to recognize, because the more that we clean and clear this stuff up for ourselves generationally, we clean and clear it up not only for our children, but also for our older generations as well. So we clear it up and down the line. Now, I think as a society as well, we've still got a long way to go in terms of empowering women. But this really, I'm so passionate about it on so many levels, because I do believe that we as women have a real responsibility to our future generations in stepping into and creating what it is, how we'd like things to be moving forward. And this is not to say power over another, but it's that inner power that helps us to feel centered, that helps us to feel and maintain and make those right decisions for ourselves as well, rather than feeling powerless or unable to make the changes that we would like to make in our life. And so if there's anything to kind of take out of this, is really start to notice or write down what you're triggered by what I say. I'll be giving you some journal prompts as well, but take some time to really get clear on what you're triggered by or what you notice. Is there a drop in your heart? Is there a drop in your gut when I say something, or does it really resonate strongly for you? Because these are going to be the key things that you're going to want to use the tools on. So I was reading some statistics the other day. 1 in 3 women have experienced violence from the age of 13. Now, you guys know I normally speak very positively about, the world and everything else, but I think it's an astounding, 30% of women have experienced violence, by the age of 15. I just think that that's astounding. And I think it also is reflective of our need as women to want to feel safe as well. And it's one of the divine, I guess, dichotomies, or one of the challenges of being a woman, is how do we feel powerful, and how do we, get to stay safe. And I'm going to share some of these things with you as we move through. So personal power. This is, you know, one of the greatest things that we can actually get from stepping back into our power and emotionally mastering what's actually going on for us in our external circumstances. I'm going to, because I've got a lot of content, guys, I'm going to fly through some of this stuff because there's other things that I do want to spend a little bit more time on as well. So letting go of controlling things. I don't know whether you guys are into this. I've certainly done some of those ones at my girls. Years ago when I used to do more authoritarian type parenting, I found that didn't really work very well, and it's very difficult in fact to actually try and control people, particularly when you do have a very strong-willed child. And what I learned, that alignment is everything, and that's what I'm going to be talking about obviously today. So I think we have such a capacity as people to empower our kids and obviously inspire others around us as well. It's all about reclaiming our voice as women, our voice as an individual. You are here with such a power and a purpose to bring your unique gifts, your unique strengths to the world. And I know for myself, at times, you know, I've felt very challenged in conversations, generally with a male that I was in an intimate relationship, in speaking up for myself. And I actually had to move through quite a lot of PTSD stuff around that, because my voice would literally get jammed in my throat and I wouldn't be able to communicate. And I went through several different stages where it was like starting to actually tap into that and say, yes, sorry, I can't speak right now. I can't share what's actually going on internally. Can you just give me a minute? And it would allow me to kind of start to readjust and regulate my nervous system to a point where then I could actually start to communicate more effectively. But when we have that loss of power, really, you know, it can freeze, it can paralyze our body. And some of that is so instinctive, so reflect, you know, from that base reflex of our limbic brain or our reptile brain, where it can just be happening and next minute you're frozen and you feel like you can't do anything about it. So if you've experienced that, you know, going to give you some things to move through around this. Overgiving to others. This is another place where women give away a lot of their power as well. And this can come from low self-worth. So when we feel like we're not enough as a person, quite often we try and make up or compensate at the deeper level. I know I was an avid overgiver, where I just wanted to buy the biggest and the best all the time. Not necessarily the best, but like, you know, be, you know, really overgiving. And again, that would show up in my intimate relationships, because I wasn't valuing just me being enough as a person. It was kind of like this, always second guessing myself. Oh, is you know, just me being me, is that enough? It doesn't feel like it's enough. So overgiving can be one of the things that plays out when we've had that loss of power. The sexual organs, obviously, you know, any female gynecological issues, back issues, particularly lower back, definitely goes back into these energy centers that can really get impacted and affected by our loss of power or giving away our power. PMS type issues, you know, we're denying our femininity or denying, you know, the power of the female body, or just, and I actually didn't recognize this in myself until literally a couple of weeks ago, where I had unconsciously, very unconsciously, dismissed my feminine body, and I felt like I needed to be more like my brother. He was always thin as a stick. He had a fast metabolism. He'd eat like 18 wheat bix in an afternoon, and he'd still be like this, and I'd only have to look at food and I would feel like I would put weight on. And so I was really resentful of my female body, because I felt like it was too slow, because I was, as a younger sister, I was always trying to keep up with my older brother, and I felt like I was hating on my body, and it actually really impacted on my body image, again, very unconsciously, until I only realized this like literally like a few weeks ago. IBS issues, so digestive. So if we're constantly in that fight flight, particularly around the second and third chakra, which is all about our power, and I'll be explaining all of that in a second, like our personal power, how we give that away to others through our beliefs or our thoughts, or who we feel that we need to be in order to be safe and loved. And so all of that impacts our digestive system. If we are in that fight flight, the body's not worried about digesting breakfast if it's been chased by the tiger. Pelvic pain, any of that stuff going on around that lower torso area is really, really challenging as well. So, sorry, just letting, welcome Leanne, it's lovely to have you in here, darling. So coming back to these now, emotional eating and addictions, again, this is a second chakra issue, because if we are not feeling safe, guess what we're going to do? We're going to eat, because that is really like that survival center, really wanting to hook in and stay safe. And this feeds like a lot of these addictions around not feeling loved or feeling all alone, feeling kicked out of the tribe, or not feeling safe within our relationships. Second and third chakra issues. So like I was explaining, our root chakra, so our base chakra, is all about survival. So it's all about fitting in and belonging in the tribe. But the sacral chakra, so the second chakra, is more about those one-to-one relationships. And your relationship with money is very reflective about your relationship with yourself as well. But the second chakra is, can be related obviously to sex, but it's normally about that control over another. And this is why I really want to share, and why I'm so passionate about this webinar, is because it's never about needing to control another. When you know how to align yourself, you can be a powerful influencer of others, line yourself up with the best circumstances and with the best of others as well, to be able to elicit and attract that from others. So then you don't have to be in a place of trying to control. Control is coming from a fear-based thing where it's like, I need you to be different so I can feel okay. What I'm going to teach you is how to master your own emotions, regardless of what's showing up in your external environment, what's happening for you with people or places or circumstances or events. Your solar plexus is where you give away your power. This relates to blame. So when we're blaming another or blaming a circumstance or even blaming ourselves, we're not taking full responsibility. Taking responsibility isn't about blaming ourselves. It's about going, what can I do to correct this? What can I do to resolve this? It's looking at it in a resourceful way rather than, oh my God, my life is like this because. And it's the second that we don't take responsibility, if there's one thing to take from this, it's all about personal responsibility. I hated hearing that. The person that told me my life is the way that it is, and this was years ago, I was ready to defend. I was ready to fight. I was so mad at them simply because I was like, you don't get what I've just been through. Don't you know, like, my husband's just left me, my mum's just died. How is that my fault? And I didn't actually understand. I had a real opportunity to actually come back to a place of responding rather than reacting to circumstances. And it was the way that I was responding, or the way that I was actually reacting to life, that continued to exacerbate all of the issues of feeling powerless, feeling like I couldn't change things, feeling like a victim of my circumstance. And so when I truly got, as harsh as it was, a lesson for me at the time, I am so grateful for that, because the greater responsibility that we take on, then that really gives us our power back in order to be able to change whatever it is, or speak up for ourselves, or do whatever it is that we need to do moving forward. So I won't go into the other chakras at the moment, because we're speaking specifically around the second and third chakras. I will say, however, if you are living in the hormones, in the emotions of stress and survival and day-to-day and rush, got to get here, got to get there, haven't got enough time, haven't got enough money, haven't got enough energy, haven't got enough love, any of that fear or scarcity, you are going to be impacting the heart energy, and the heart energy more than likely will be actually shut down out of fear. It takes tremendous energy to keep the heart energy shut, and we also don't get to experience emotions like gratitude, deep love, fulfillment, contentment, and just that, oh my God, my life is so amazing. That's where, your heart is literally burst open wide. Now, it does also mean that you experience emotions on an intense, deep level as well, because now you're actually allowing the emotions to flow through your heart. But it means that that energy is no longer stuck and stagnated within those lower 3 chakras. And of course, we can't elevate our thinking, we can't tap into our intuition as women, which is such a powerful, powerful thing for us to do when the energy actually can't get past the heart because the heart shut down. And again, it'll jam up the throat, it'll jam up the expression as well. So if anybody's got any comments as well, please feel free to jump in and just share on the chat. Now, our genes are absolutely impacted by our emotions. So this is, again, why I'm so passionate about sharing and teaching emotional mastery, simply because our emotions, our thoughts, spoken words influence the level of harmony or disharmony in our physical body, in our DNA, in our frequency. Now, there were some scientists that did an experiment recently, which they actually had taken some DNA samples from a person's body. They separated, so the DNA was in a test tube with scientists in another room, and they played a video for these donors of the DNA in a separate room, and the video elicited all sorts of different emotions. Now, that DNA changed, even though it was in a test tube, even though it was held by another person, even though it was in an entirely different room, that DNA changed instantaneously with that person's emotions. So if that was a positive emotion, it activated the positive DNA and the positive genes that actually reduce inflammation in our body, that help the cardiovascular system. It activated so many positive genes. And when that person went into a fear state, of course, the DNA also responded to that by activating some of the hereditary genes that are passed down, or some of the other genes that, you know, we're not really wanting to have expressed in our body. So we have a sum total of all of these positive and so-called negative genes, negative being obviously that it expresses in a way that is disharmonious for the body, or creates disease. And it's 100% impacted by our emotions. So this is a very important thing, because then they actually took the experiment out, and I can't remember whether it was 50 meters or 50 miles, I apologize, but they actually took the experiment even further. And what they were realizing was that we have such an ability to impact matter outside of ourselves. We have the ability to impact the world around us, literally by what thoughts and what emotions we're actually feeling and thinking at the time. And of course, quantum physics is all about that. I'm not going to go into quantum physics, but it really is such a powerful, powerful thing. Creativity center. So our uterus, so if we're thinking about the second chakra, guys, all around that torso area, our uterus is actually a powerhouse of energy. Now, of course, it takes so much energy when we are bringing a new baby into the world. And for anybody that's a mum out there, you're going to obviously know that from that experience. But also our ovaries contain so much potential of being able to birth and create new ideas. Maybe you're birthing a new business. Maybe it is, you know, a new creative idea. Maybe it's a book. Maybe it's a way that you're wanting to help humanity or make a difference in the world. But whatever that is, if your second chakra is based upon fear and is congested with all of those fear emotions, you're not going to have the energy, you're not going to have the life force available to actually then pour into these new creative ideas. Because if we're in a state of survival, you're not thinking about how I can create amazing things in my life. We're thinking about how we're going to survive. And you know, I might have even had this experience if you've been a runner, or you've done a long distance run at any point in your time. When we are in sugar burning phase, that's the adrenaline phase within us, we will often get tunnel vision. And you'll know that because you'll be looking about a meter and a half in front of you on the path, and you forget about the exterior world around you. It's quite fascinating how that actually happens. And when you're in fat burning mode, which is more, the body is in a more relaxed state, it's from a healthier level of I guess exercise for the body, because it's not in a sugar burning state, it's not in an adrenalized state, so it's much more sustainable, and we can actually run for great distances from that place when we're actually coming from that place as well. So like when we're actually in the fat burning phase. So again, reason why I share that is literally coming back to a place of if we're enjoying our run, we're not pushing ourselves, we're not in that push energy, we're not in that struggle energy, you're not in that sugar burning phase of I've got to just get here and I've got to run the fastest time and I've got to do this, but you're actually breathing deeply, you're looking around, you're taking in your environment, you're feeling good within your body, you're also reducing inflammation in your body. But this is also, it's like more downstream energy as well, rather than feeling like, oh my God, I've got to go, I've got to go, I've got to go. They've done so many tests on this, just even with chicken cells. If chicken cells are in a hostile environment, those chicken cells can only manage survival. They do not duplicate, they do not replicate, they're not birthing or creating something new from where they are. They're in a hostile environment, they are in protection mechanism, guys. And so if you know that you've got something amazing to contribute to the world, and we all do, we all have an incredible purpose, an incredible reason for why we're here. You've got your unique perspective. If you're living in survival, you're not going to be able to, or it's going to be much harder to actually share that. In the chicken cells that were placed in a petri dish that was completely supportive, so they were in this supportive environment, those cells not only maintained their own homeostasis, but they duplicated and replicated very quickly in a very healthy way. So I think, you know, if chicken cells, their environment is impacted, well, then that's super important. I think the other thing to be really aware of, we've normalized exhaustion and given the status of being busy a badge of honor. Now, this is really, really challenging as women. Like, I think, you know, unless you're like super busy, and I've really caught myself over the last couple of years, when people are like, oh, how are you? Oh my God, life's so busy. And it's like, no, I actually choose it not to be. And it kind of shocks most people. Some people are like, they've really realize that for themselves as well, but it's like previously it was like this status or this significance that was around, oh my God, my life's so busy, I'm doing so much, because we've attributed so much worth to how much I get done in a day and how much I do for others or how happy I make others. I think as women, again, it's been one of those things that kind of keep us a little bit powerless at times, or powerless to take really good care of ourselves. So this is, again, like such an important factor to remember. So do you deflect compliments? So do you go, oh, no, it's nothing. What, this? No, yeah, I just got it like down there. Do you deflect compliments? And somebody's like, oh my God, you're amazing. I actually had a funny experience. I'm just going to share this because it was so funny. I was at the gym the other day, and a few of you know that I'm preparing for a physique comp probably in 12 months, but I'm making really great progress and I'm kind of pretty proud of myself. Anyway, I was at the gym and I was doing this particular exercise working on my glutes, and this girl come up to me afterwards and she's like, oh my God, she said, your ass looked amazing when you're doing that. My first thing was like, I wanted to dismiss it because like, I was like, oh my God. But second of all, I was just like, wow, thank you so much. That's kind of like made my day. So she was like, just, oh my God, you look so great, like doing that. And I was just like, oh wow, that's amazing. So notice, guys, when you know, you're deflecting compliments, when you like are dismissive, or if somebody goes, hey, I can help you with that, and you're like, oh no, it's all good, like I've got it, it's right. Like, really, like, take note in those moments, because it's in those moments when we're actually not allowing ourselves to receive. And if we're doing that with the small stuff, what are we actually blocking ourselves from on a deeper level as well? So this is, again, really, really important. Do you self-sabotage in money or love, or both of these areas? Again, just take note. If this is something that's been a challenge for you in the past, do you tend to like deflect money, or do you find you'll have a big win with money, but then another big expense comes up in another area of your life? I know for me, I felt really challenged. I felt like I could have money or love, but not both. And some of that kind of came into one of the upper limits, which I'll be talking about. But it's like my fear, like my biggest fear was outshining others or being too successful and having others actually reject me because they were resentful of my success. So this has been a big thing that I've personally needed to work on, just to overcome that, because it really can be a challenge. Sometimes those upper limits can present if you've had a big win in your of business, and next minute, you know, you're picking a fight with your partner, and it's kind of like, oh, what's going on here? So staying aware, staying conscious of, you know, what's kind of showing up for you in those particular areas. I think being able to embrace a level of freedom is so, so, so important as women. And I think as human beings, we all are craving that freedom to be ourselves. And if there's one gift that you can kind of get from this webinar, it's really about uncovering the layers, uncovering the masks that are blocking you from actually stepping into that space for yourself. You might have already done that or created that for yourself. For me personally, I feel like it's a continuing journey. So there's lots of masks and layers that I've kind of pulled off from the past around, I need to be the good girl, or I need to be the pleaser, or I need to be, you know, all these different identities and personas that are created as we kind of grow up. I need to be serious, I need to be responsible, all of those things, to be able to actually show up just in the freedom of who I authentically feel like I truly am in this moment. Sorry, I thought I clicked onto the next slide and then I didn't. Also, the more that we embrace this power within ourselves, the more that we're connected with our own inner power, the more you can have a genuine, authentic relationship with another. Often we are triggered by that in the other, which is the conflict. It's like whatever you dislike or you don't appreciate or you've made wrong within yourself is going to be triggered within you when you experience that within another. And that other could be a work colleague, it could be your kids. I know a lot of people, you know, if their child is so similar to them, they can be really have a lot of stuff to deal with. I was like that with my eldest daughter. She was and she is, like, we're very similar in personality in lots of ways. I was super triggered by her, and I couldn't show up and be the mum that I wanted to until I actually worked on that stuff for myself. And I'm going to show you how to do that a little bit later on. Are you being the martyr? Do you do everything for everyone? Do you feel like you've got to be there for everyone? I was running a pattern or a story of I'm responsible. It's all on my shoulders. I have to be the responsible one, and it's all my fault if everything goes pear-shaped. It's a big burden to carry, guys, and I think I've got the next one, or the one after this, around, you know, carrying that burden. You want to bring about more stability and calm emotions each day and create win-win situations within your relationships, obviously less conflict. Now, we can't do that unless we've done this inner work on ourselves, because if we're going into a conversation and you're in that mindset of I'm right, they're wrong, or they're right, I'm wrong, you know, that's a win-lose situation. Nobody gets to win from that. I think relationships really do offer such a genuine spiritual way to grow, in that when we're triggered by that within another, when we can communicate effectively around that and actually dig deep and go, wow, why is this so painful for me? Oh, that's because this happened to me, you know, when I was a child, and that felt like abandonment, or that felt like rejection, or that felt like I was being shamed, or that I'm wrong for being who I am. This is, you know, all the stuff where we're giving away our power. Now we're dragging that into a conversation or a relationship and going, oh my God, would you stop doing that because you're driving me crazy? Or, oh, you just bug me so much, you make me so angry when you do that. Or you, like, and every time we say you are making me feel, again, solar plexus energy, we're giving away our own personal power because we're not taking responsibility. Oh shit, that's actually my stuff. I need to clear that up. The more work you do inwardly, the less you'll be triggered by others externally. So you'll find just greater and greater resolution, understanding. And of course, when understanding is happening, when we've cleared the misperceptions, when I've owned my stuff, when they've owned their stuff, and sometimes it doesn't even take for them to own their stuff for miracles to occur in relationships. I've also had that, where I've just done the inner work, and it frees up. You're no longer sticky, you're no longer attracting that from the other, because it's not present in you anymore. So you can't have the same experience because you're not being the same person as you were previously. So again, just less and less conflict in relationships, which of course makes them more enjoyable, and greater levels of intimacy, because now there's greater trust, because both of you go, ah, oh, that's your wound, ah, oh, that's my wound. oh, wow, what an opportunity we have to actually heal this. And this is genuinely what I've been able to create within my soulmate relationship with my gorgeous man that I had the picture on before. God, it's taken some work and it's taken effort. It hasn't always been easy. I had to have so many difficult and confronting conversations, but it is getting easier and easier and easier. And every single time, like even the other night, last Friday night, we had this beautiful conversation. We'd been out. Both of us were a little bit rocky. We're very empathic. So I pick up on what he's feeling. He picks up on what I'm feeling. And we can kind of ping pong a little bit with each other, which is not always great. It's good that we kind of can feel each other, but it can also be really challenging. And so, you know, just being able to sit down and actually talk about it afterwards, whereas 2 or 3 years ago, you know, that would have been a massive trigger for both of us, where we were both, you know, probably not in a great resourceful state talking through things and being able to come to a resolution of what's kind of going on for each of us. So again, you know, there's so much power in this work. Being led by your intuitive heart guidance. I said at the start, you know, if we're stuck in the survival mindset, you know, things are really, really challenging. We can't get that energy up into the heart and back up into the pineal gland, where the basis of our intuition is as well. So it can be really challenging. So what is it? Obviously, like I've spoke about like quite a few things. You might have identified with quite a few things. So definitely get out your journal, because I'm going to run through quite a few more that could be a trigger for you. So just take note, jot down what it is that you actually really identify with now around these particular things, because this is going to be gold for you, and you definitely absolutely want to capture this. So our primary need as a woman is to feel safe. And I think, you know, even as a human being, like our ego survival mind will always jump up and go, oh my God, I'm not safe because. So we've all got that fear that we're not enough. And if we're not enough, we won't be loved. And that plays out for everybody, which can go into that feeling of worthlessness, the stories that we create around that. So we've all got that same story. But for women, particularly more so than men, men don't tend to have this as much. And an example of this, I was at a Tony Robbins event years ago, and he asked all of the women to put their hands up in the room that hadn't felt safe in the last 24 hours. And pretty much like 80 to 90% of the women in the room, and there was like probably 1,400 women in the room, put their hands up. And then he said, you know, within the last week, pretty much 100% of the women put their hand up. And he said in the last month, obviously, you know, it was 100%. So, or very, you know, maybe 1 or 2% of the women didn't actually put their hands up. But like, it was so overwhelmingly, oh my God, so many women hadn't felt safe in the last, you know, day or the last week. Even if it's just, you know, you're walking down the street and you just have a fleeting thought of, oh my God, you know, is it okay? Am I going to get to my car? Okay, particularly if it's late night shopping or something like that. You know, there can be so many different triggers for us. For the men in the room, Tony asked, and, you know, it was maybe 5 men put their hands up. No, I didn't feel safe in. And there's like, you know, same amount of men, 1,500 men. You know, 5 men put their hands up and said that they weren't safe. And then, you know, even when he went out to, you know, a week, a month, you know, even when it was a month, it was probably like 10% of men in the room. So as women, we definitely have a huge need around feeling safe, which is what makes shining or taking back our own inner power terrifying. Because if you think about like public speaking, what's like so many people's like biggest fear around public speaking is, oh my God, they're going to judge me. And so as women, like that's terrifying. So we give our power away. We don't want to stand in our power because it actually doesn't feel safe. And I'm going to share with you, you know, we all have that need for approval. We're scared other people are going to judge us. And this is, again, so we diminish ourselves. Our ego survival mind gets so loud with, it's not safe. Other people are going to judge you. Other people are going to reject you. You're going to be abandoned. People are going to call you a power bitch or, you know, a rich bitch or like all of this stuff. And this plays out in money and it plays out in relationships. I had a huge thing around needing to be submissive to men because it didn't feel safe to stand in my power as a woman. And I think some of that came from me and my brother probably having a few fights as a kid. And, you know, he used to punch me. I used to get my nails out. But I used to get punched. And so, like, if I was standing in my power, standing up for myself, I learned very quickly that actually wasn't safe. And it felt very confronting to me. I used to jokingly run around the house with a knife. My parents used to have their own business. Like, quite often we were left at home as kids. And so it's like all of that gets, like, downloaded into our subconscious mind. And again, like, it wasn't until 3 or 4 weeks ago where I was just like, oh my God, this has played out at such a deep level. And I've been doing this work for years. So we all have that need for approval. So again, we want to fit in. We have this fear, you know, I'm responsible for everyone else's happiness. So as girls, I think this is quite indoctrinated in from society, where, you know, we're taught, oh, good girl for packing up the dishes, good girl for taking care of, good girl for being, like, really kind and compassionate. And it's not that I'm against being kind and compassionate. I absolutely love it, but not at the expense of ourselves. And we're certainly not responsible for everyone else's happiness. This is a huge burden to carry. It's certainly, I had the belief years ago, and I'll share this with you guys because you could resonate with this, is that I can't be happy until everybody else is happy. Now, how often did that happen? It left me feeling powerless and depressed. So you can see how we give away our power sometimes with some of these really limiting beliefs. So make note of any of these. It's always my fault. And I laughed when I saw this meme because it's like, we can really feel that way. It's kind of like, no, but they said it was my fault, or they acted like it was my fault. And again, we make ourselves sticky to a situation. I've had, like, quite a few beautiful clients, and I've had this show up for myself where I had that belief it's all my fault. So guess what? You get blamed a lot when you have that belief, which only then deeply reinforces, because the outside world, the external world, will bring you what it is that you believe to be true about yourself and about life. Life is so kind. It will always bring you what you believe. So when we believe that it's all my fault, suddenly it is. And that's not to say that that's ultimately true, but whilst ever we have that belief and then we continue having these experiences, now that belief is actually getting reinforced and it's getting driven deeper and deeper in the subconscious. So we need to question these beliefs and release them to let them go. So anybody told, you know, have you ever felt like, oh my God, I can't say that because I'd be rocking the boat? You know, as women, again, we don't like conflict. Conflict is not safe. So the moment that we feel like we've got to be confrontational, or we've got to speak up for ourselves, or we've got to do anything that will rock a circumstance or maybe rock somebody else's equilibrium, oh my God, that is terrifying. So again, we suck that back in. We don't speak up for ourselves. We shut that down. We make it wrong. And this is what really keeps us powerless. And it goes back into that primary need of being able to feel safe, having low self-worth, so looking for love from others. This was where I was at. My self-worth in my first marriage was so low that I was desperate for his approval. I would do anything in order to try and get approval. I was like trying to be the perfect housewife. I would literally run mowing the lawns on a Friday. I would clean the entire house. I would wash and vacuum the car. I would run mowing the lawn so that I could get it done before I went and picked my kids up from school. And then I'd be enraged if any of the kids came in and messed up my perfect house, because it meant I wasn't being perfect enough. So if you've ever suffered from perfectionism, again, this is driven by that low self-worth of I'm not enough as I am. I need to be more perfect, more better, more smarter, you know, any of that story that can, you know, thinner, prettier, happier, more positive, like any of those stories can kind of come up. And when that's actually happening, this is what I actually really learned at 32, was I actually really need to get that external appreciation, that external love. So I would walk around going, am I enough? Am I enough? Looking for that external validation. I had no clue on how to actually love myself and appreciate myself. Guilt is a huge one for women. So again, guilt is going to detract from our power, and I'll share with you why it does that a little bit later on as well with one of the tools I'm going to teach you. But this guilt is so challenging as well. So we feel guilty for taking care of ourselves. We feel guilty for taking time out. We feel guilty for resting. We feel guilty for putting ourselves first, because we're taught as women, I think, you know, everybody else's needs are more important. Everybody else comes first. And a lot of this is generational. You may have grown up with a mum that did that for herself, did that herself as well. So I know my mum was very much not necessarily lived in martyr energy, but it was absolutely what she felt that she had to do. She felt like she had to give and give and give. She was supporting my dad in his business. She would be there on the P&F meetings or the P&C meetings, you know, at school. She'd be in school canteen. She'd show up at every sporting carnival, every event. She was running brownies for me. You know, there were so many different things that she was doing in order to try and be enough. And it's great to do any of those things if that's truly what lights your heart up and how you want to contribute from a true place of authenticity. But if you're doing those things out of guilt, or I need to, or I have to, or I should, it's always going to suck your energy, guys, and it's going to disempower you to live the life that you truly want. And perhaps maybe some of those things are actually playing out as a distraction, because what you really want to share or what you really want to do actually scares the hell out of you, which is really normal, because what we fear the most, genuinely, or what we want the most, we have the greatest fear around, because it's precious to us. It means more. It matters more than anything else. And so coupled with that, we can have great fear. So we can often be in the state, and this is another way that we kind of disempower ourselves or give away our own inner power in relationships, is, oh, well, I've just got to manage I've got to take care of everything. When the kids grow up, then or when this happens, then or I've just got to do this for others, and then but we never, ever get to it. And it can be driven by this guilt pattern of I'm not giving enough, I'm not doing enough, because my worth is based upon all of that. And of course, none of that is actually really true, but I believe that it's been deeply imprinted into our subconscious, just as women in this particular day and age, and generationally as well. I'm having a challenge with that word. So we also have these upper limits, or these glass ceilings. So this is another way that we kind of hold back our own inner power. It's like, I can't be that person, or, it's, I truly admire the women, and often they're crucified, which is another reason why we're so scared to actually stand in our power. If you think of like Julia Gillard, stepping into the role as Prime Minister as a woman, it's so out of the norm for society that it's like women and men tend to crucify them. And so we're just as scared of being judged by other women as we are of, society in general as well. I think that there's great things that can come from more and more females stepping into, I don't want to say authoritarian, but like embracing their power and really fulfilling their truest potential, because it's that intuitive feminine nature where we're all inclusive, where we like lift everybody up. I think humanity can raise in such a powerful way. But whilst ever we're scared of pushing past that glass ceiling, or feeling like that somebody's going to judge us, or, oh my God, they're doing too well. They're all kind of upper limit stuff where we're scared about shining, or scared of like being into that next level. And again, this is what I was talking about before. We can often, feel that fear of being judged from other women. I know for me, the more, like, I had to do a lot of money work just around not being the rich bitch. I didn't want to like increase my money because I didn't want to be that girl, or, I didn't want to be, a lot of it was because I had actually judged other women being in that situation, but I'd also been judged as a child. My mum and dad were actually did quite well financially in their business, and I lived in a small town, and so some of that I was actually ostracized in some of my friendship groups. She's too good for us, or I know when I left the boarding school, it was like, oh, you're too good for us, you're just a rich bitch kind of thing, and it was devastating to me at the time. So of course I didn't want to be that. So now I'm going to deflect any money coming my way, or any opportunity to be able to create more money, and I'm going to really diminish that. And it made me feel really scared about actually having beautiful female friendships because I was like, oh my God, are they going to turn on me? You know, like our level of being able to trust others as well. And part of that was coming from my stickiness within myself about judging myself. So again, we're attracting all of these circumstances and we make them true again and again by believing the thought and then looking for the evidence to support the thought. So if we feel controlled and powerless to change our situation, it's honestly like how I felt in quite a few of my relationships. It's like, this is just the way that relationships are. Again, it was because of the beliefs and the thoughts that I had around relationship and about me needing to be submissive and not standing my full power as a woman within a relationship. It was like that would always seem to threaten or intimidate the man. And so I got a beautiful mentor of mine once shared, you know, strong women excite men and intimidate boys. And I love that statement because, you know, at a deeper level, we've all got an inner child. And so often, you know, and I'm going to be talking about the feminine and the masculine as well. Because quite often with this, the man might go into disempowered masculine, which can feel very threatening and can feel very scary as well. So often we'll be coming back to that primary need of needing to feel safe. And so sometimes we actually won't leave a domestic violence situation because it actually feels scarier to leave than to stay in it. And it's only because it feels familiar. We're certain, like we know how to manage certain things. We can become vigilant and we know how to react. We know how to talk them down. We know how to do all of those things in domestic violence situation. And it will leave you feeling powerless to actually step out. And I know for myself, I actually didn't have the courage to leave a couple of my relationships that I really, the second one I did, I was just like, no, I'm so done with this. But the first one, I actually didn't have the courage to actually leave. It was incredibly challenging for me. And yet I because my self-worth was so low, I was in that state of powerlessness. I actually didn't have the courage to leave. So I was blessed that relationship actually broke down in other ways. So upper limits, I'm a burden. I don't want to be a burden. This goes back into, so if you recognize some of these beliefs within yourself as well, just writing these down. I'm a burden. I don't want to be a burden. This is where we just miss asking for help. Oh, no, it's fine. I've got it. It's okay. Like, don't worry. I'm all good. Like, we deflect again, like that assistance, that receiving energy, which is like disempowering to us. And then we're kind of like turning around in the same breath going, oh, I'm all alone. I'm the one that's going to do this, or, you know, maybe not that. But sometimes that can be the polar opposite of that. I don't want to be a burden, so I'm not going to ask anybody for help. But next minute, I'm all alone. I've got to do all this by myself. Why am I always alone? Why is my life like this? Why is nobody here for me? And it's because we've pushed all of that away very unconsciously because we haven't wanted to be a burden. I'm fundamentally flawed. There's something really wrong with me. This can play out in so many different levels. It's like when we feel like we've failed as a parent, or we haven't shown up, oh my God, or, you know, we feel like we're rejected by others. Oh my God, there must be something wrong with me. What is it with me? Why do I always attract this? Again, it's going to make yourself sticky to situations that continue to pull those situations towards you and reinforce those beliefs until those beliefs are questioned and released. I'm abandoning others and being disloyal if I live this way or do this thing. This was huge for me. And this happens, you know, if you're in flow and you're creating more money than, you know, in such a powerful, easy way, you may self-sabotage yourself if you've got this belief going on, because it's like, oh my God, my mum and dad had to work so hard. Now, you know, like they're going to hate me if things are coming easier, if things are happening easier. They're going to be like so angry at me. Or perhaps, you know, for me, it was more about my spirituality initially. My family is much more open to it these days. But initially when I stepped into that, it was like, who is that weirdo? Like, I felt extremely judged. And again, it was probably my own fear and my own fear of being judged that kept attracting those circumstances. So again, and then it was kind of like, if I'm too successful or if I'm more successful, and again, this is ego concept, but if I'm more successful than others or than others appear to be, again, that's comparison, which comes from the ego. But these are all ego fears then I'm abandoning others, or I'm leaving others behind, which again is, you know, I'm here and they're there, or they're here and I'm here, and we can have both kind of going on at the same time, which I'll speak about in a sec. But also fear of outshining others. So fear that my success actually hurts others or makes others feel less. Again, that goes back into I'm responsible for how others feel, or I'm responsible for others' happiness. So you can see how some of these beliefs start to get entwined and really get enmeshed within our psyche and pull us back down and limit us and have us contract in fear and not stepping into our full power, or creating what it is that we really can create. So taking back your inner power, it's all about knowing your triggers, guys. And the reason why I've gone so much on about the other stuff was hopefully you've written down some things that, you know, you have been like really, really triggered by. Hopefully you've got clarity around all of that now as well. And just take note when you do feel upset, when you do feel angry, when you're like, oh, that really bugged me that they said that or that they did that. Or if there's a circumstance where you hear something and it's like, why can't I stop thinking about that? What? And just get curious. Like, there's no need to beat yourself up about it or anything else. It's really just get curious, guys, as to what's actually really going on. What am I really scared of? What am I really feeling about this event or this circumstance? What do I believe to be true that's really upsetting me or causing me suffering at the moment? So feminine and masculine energies. This is, again, relating back to, are you in empowered energy? So are you stepping into owning yourself, your own inner power? And this is one way to start to recognize this within yourself as well. So not only knowing your triggers, but knowing the feelings and the emotions that are associated with being empowered or disempowered. And I'm just going to read through a really quick list. I did get this from Sister Rise, Rebecca Campbell. It's a great book, definitely about stepping into that feminine energy. Very, very powerful. So sacred feminine or empowered feminine, or inner power feminine is compassionate, wise, in touch with their own healing, or in touch with their healing within themselves, or being able to give healing to others, connected with nature and her seasons. I think this is the key one. Sees herself as whole. She's unconditionally loving for herself and therefore can be for others. She's fiercely protective of the planet and her children. And I think that that can sometimes be recognized as she's too outspoken, or she's too this, or she's too that. But it really is like, it's like, no, I know my values. I know what's important to me. And this is not okay. And I think, you know, being able to express that in a very powerful way is absolutely key to us being able to maintain that inner power. Sexual, so like embraces her sexuality. She's not ashamed. She doesn't feel guilty. She doesn't feel like disgusted, or, you know, any of those other toxic emotions that can kind of sometimes come up around sexuality, or how we feel about our sexual body, and embracing sexual pleasure as well. It's so empowering to step into that space for ourselves, and particularly so in relationship. Intuitive and passionate. She knows her power. So she's not trying to convince anybody. She's not trying to convince herself. She just is. The truth never needs to be defended, guys. When you are, you are. So she's empathic and she's understanding, or empathetic as well. So, you know, she can feel what it is that others are feeling. She's loving, she's compassionate, she's a healer, she's fertile within herself. So she's connected to the life force energy. She's in flow with life. She's a provider of Shakti, which is just another name for energy. She's assertive, she's a truth seeker. So she's seeking the ultimate truth within herself and within a situation. So sometimes like our ego can go, oh, well, it's because of this or it's because of that. But she's actually seeking the highest level of truth that she can possibly get from tapping into her intuition. She's able to be supported. She fills up her own well. She takes care of herself, and she's revered and adored by the masculine. So it really, when we're stepping into that feminine energy, it's so beautiful to see, you know, a truly masculine and feminine couple. And this can be true in same sex relationships as well, or same gender relationships. It doesn't, each person will have a separate polarity, because that's where that chemistry is really created as well. And she's able to express her anger and passion. Now, unbalanced feminine, and so this will be powerful for you guys, depressed, needy, codependent, so needing, love from outside of ourselves in order to know we're okay, overly sensitive, wallowing, self-pity, bitter, self-doubting, victim, people pleaser, the good girl, low self-esteem, dependent, gossiping, unable to stand on own 2 feet, resentful, doesn't want to be happy. I don't know about you guys. I've definitely felt that before. It's like, no, don't take me out of my bad mood. Martyr, selfish, can't stand others' happiness, so jealousy, obviously, manipulative, and I think we can all sometimes, I'll speak for myself, we can do that very unconsciously as well. It's like, so the more that we become conscious of these behaviors, the more we set ourselves free and others. We can be controlling, so if we're really scared, obviously, we're trying to control others, spiteful, unable to express needs, insecure, putting everybody else's needs ahead of our own, or comparing self to other. So this all goes back into that disempowered feminine energy. Sacred masculine, empowered masculine, strong, protective, guiding, supportive, present, abundant, powerful, provider, confident, physical, energized, passionate, heroic, courageous, able to be supported by the feminine, able to surrender and be held by the feminine. And I think that that's like a true gift as well in a masculine partner. And again, I'm not necessarily speaking gender. If we've got those polarities happening, in touch with feelings but not controlled by them, and empowered, not threatened. Now, we've all probably all also experienced the unbalanced masculine, and whether this is in yourself or in others, or in males, or other people that are more masculine dominant within themselves, destroys everything in their path. It's like, get the F out of my way. That's that really strong masculine energy as well. And it's the unbalance, it's the disempowered, because it's believing that I can't have my needs met in a way that's actually truly aligned. Now I've got to make it happen. I've got to force it to happen. I've got to push to have it happen. And quite often as females, we can get into that energy when we're in a state of fear. If we've got our own business and we're really trying to make things happen, it can be really, detrimental to our relationships and to our own body. You'll know that you've been in that energy if you feel particularly rigid in your female body, or you are just tense, tight, your shoulders are hurting. You'll have been in that real kind of push energy as well. Doesn't think of anyone but themselves, is ruthless, like it's that real ruthless cutthroat type of energy. The end justifies the means. Forceful, brutal, barbaric, egotistic, so it sees self as separate, not as all connected, arrogant, disconnected from the heart, which of course, we can all do when we drop into that fear-based state, easily threatened, disconnected from emotions, so that's when we kind of don't feel anything from the neck down. We're just like in our head and just like, this is where I'm going, this is what I've got to do. It can be really tricky. Headstrong or really stubborn, so not willing to actually listen or understand, or have that sense of compassion with others, and endures and strives when it's time to rest. So we all have these energies within us. It's just knowing where and which energy that you're actually in. And I noticed a pattern within myself that in order to come back to empowered or inner power within my feminine energy, sometimes if I was fearful or if I was triggered, I'd go to disempowered feminine, which I'd become needy, clingy, insecure. I'd hate myself being like that, or I'd feel like a victim. So then I'd step into disempowered masculine, or like disconnected masculine. It's like, get out of my way. Like then I was in anger. Then I was like pushing and trying to force things to happen. And then finally I'd go, I need to come back into empowered masculine, where it's like, okay, let me be the provider. And I should say I've been a single mom for the last 10 years. Yes, I do have my gorgeous man. But in a financial sense, I've very much provided for my kids by myself. So I've really felt like a strong sense of that masculine energy. And I know when I get really tired or really pushed, then I'm back in that disempowered masculine, as opposed to being the provider, and being confident within myself as well. Now, when I'm in that state, then now my feminine energy actually feels safe enough to actually step back in and be playful and enjoy life and appreciate things. But until she feels safe, until she feels like that empowered masculine has got a back kind of to speak, then that can really be very, very challenging for me as well. So this is just a simple tool where you can step into recognizing more and more, hey, am I in disempowered, or am I in empowered energy? And again, this is like inner power versus trying to get control externally. When we're disempowered, that's where we're trying to control things, or we feel out of control externally. So if you have this come up, nobody listens to me, they don't listen to me, are you listening to yourself? Often, again, this goes back into being able to touch into our emotions and how we're actually feeling each day. So by listening to yourself, you'll be more and more in touch with what's actually going on for you. When you're listening to you, more people will actually reflect that in their behavior and be present with you also. Be the magnet that you want to attract. Now, we need to be in a specific energetic feeling, or it can take even energy out of there. Of course, our feelings do generate energy. You know, we can talk about vibration, all sorts of things, but at the end of the day, there's a specific feeling, the feeling of gratitude and the feeling of just, oh my God, my life is amazing. This is what actually generates that magnetic signature that now starts to attract everything that you want. And you might have had those days where it's like, oh my God, I just had the best day today. I was in so much flow. And this will be from who you're being, not necessarily what you're actually doing each day. Sorry, just clicking on my thing. Embracing the fullness of your power. Now, I picked this picture for a reason. When we think about a powerful woman, quite often, or maybe I should speak for myself, this was the image that I actually got in my head, and I'm like, I don't want that. I don't. That, for me, it's like, no, that's so far from being I would feel like I was in a straitjacket if I was wearing that type of clothing. And I've tried to do that in the past, and it just wasn't my authentic self. So you embracing the fullness of you is whatever that is for you. And when you do that, so often we can disempower ourselves or disconnect ourselves from money, believing I need to lose that 5 or 10 kilos before I do the video on my business, or I need to be different. I need to be more this. I need to be more that. No, you just need to be you. And when you fully embrace that and you love yourself at that depth, now you're connected to your own inner power, and now you're embracing your you-ness. And I think it's a really powerful distinction, because quite often we can have those beliefs, I'm not enough, I need to be this or that, or I need to study more, or I need to have more certifications, or I need to have more qualifications. And we're dissing our power immediately. You've got so much to offer the world just as you are right now. And of course, we can fully expand and continue growing. But when we're believing that, you'll always limit yourself. If you've got a certain image in your head of how you need to be or how you need to look, you'll limit yourself, and it won't be authentic either. So it was a huge learning curve for me, just in that I really wanted to share that. I would like to flip this meme around. With great power comes great responsibility. I would actually say with great responsibility comes great power. And again, it goes back to what I suggested at the start around taking 100% radical responsibility for your life. Every life event, every single thing that happens in my day, if I'm not 100% joyous about it, it's like, right, what did I do? What was in me that actually created this situation? And even if it's a situation, so recently I had a situation, it was quite challenging within my family, and it wasn't about me, it didn't involve me, and yet I was affected by it. Now, I actually did the inner work on that. And you might be like, well, that's weird, because like obviously it had nothing to do with her. The fact that I was experiencing that at the level that I was, meant it had something within me, because I'd attracted that circumstance. I was part of that circumstance. I was co-creating with those family members where I was in this particular experience, and I didn't like it, and I wanted to change it. I did the inner work. Literally, it was a Tuesday afternoon. That evening, the issue was actually resolved, and I didn't find out until the Wednesday morning that the issue was resolved and it was all good. But it was so reflective. It just blew my mind yet again, even though I've been doing this stuff for years. It blew my mind how quickly, when I released the stuff within me and found what was actually going on within me. So I was taking responsibility for the stickiness within me that attracted that situation. You are where you are because of you, because of your beliefs, because of how you believe life is. There could have been events and circumstances, and I'm not saying, particularly if you've been through some trauma, which most people by the age of, 30, 40, 50, most people have gone through, some significant life events, guys. And I'm certainly not here to diminish those or to say, it wasn't painful or anything else. But until we take full responsibility in how did I actually react? How did I respond? How did I attract that to me? What was the soul lesson that I was actually meant to get from that? It will always keep you in some form of suffering, even if it's just like, I've got to push it under the carpet and now we've buried it or suppressed it. It's still actually bubbling away, and you'll know this because you'll still be triggered by circumstances that show up that are similar or trigger similar feelings to what you felt in that particular circumstance. We've got to take responsibility for our emotional reactions in order to be able to free ourselves from that. And this is where your true power comes. Everything is a reflection of your internal beliefs. So get clarity. Take some time. Where are you playing small? Where are you hiding? Where are you not speaking up? So you might want to just take a moment. You can take a photo or a screenshot of this if you want to do these journaling questions. Perhaps later, please feel free to, I'll just leave it up there for a second. What do you believe about relationships? What thoughts or beliefs make you feel powerless? It's a great question to ask yourself. Like, what makes me feel powerless? Oh my God, I can't speak up for myself. That would keep you powerless, right? I have to please everybody. That would keep you powerless. I can't have what it is that I want, or it's wrong, or I feel bad, or I feel guilty for wanting more money, or it's materialistic to have more money. What do you believe about money? So often when I'm taking clients through a session, particularly when I first start working with somebody, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do rapid fire, and I actually get them just to write down money is. And then whatever comes up, money is hard work. Money is hard to keep. Money is annoying. Money is frustrating. Money is like whatever, here to help me. Money is like whatever comes up, and you may get a mix of negative and positive, but it's so good for eliciting your beliefs around those things. When I did relationships initially, when I first came out, of particular relationships, when I was coming out of that, I did some journaling around relationships because I was like, I did some inner work, and then I was like, oh, I think I'm maybe ready, and then wasn't kind of attracting either the relationships that I desired or the relationship that would really set my heart alight. And what I actually realized was that I had all of these toxic beliefs around relationships. It was like relationships are toxic, draining, consuming, suck the life out of me. Like, oh my God, no wonder I'm either attracting relationships that are like that or not actually allowing myself to be in relationship with anybody, because who would want to actually have that? So of course my self-sabotage was to push all of that away. Self-sabotage is actually self-protection at the deeper level because of one of these beliefs. So hopefully everybody's got down those beliefs as well that you can, or the journaling questions as well, because this can really start to elicit some of these ways that you're actually giving yourself, giving power away. So how do you take back that inner power? It really is about shining the light of consciousness on it. You cannot change something you're not aware of. We all have those blind spots, but by hopefully answering some of these questions, you'll actually start to become more conscious of it. Get curious. Don't beat yourself up in relationships. If you find, oh my God, I'm in this argument or this is happening, like take 5 big deep breaths and ask yourself, what is the outcome I truly desire right now? That was such a powerful question for me, particularly when I first started doing this work. And I was very reactional, particularly with my kids. If there was something going on for them, I would often blame myself unconsciously, and then I'd be in justifying or defending or telling them that their feelings were wrong simply because I was feeling blame and shame as a parent. And I think we do this like as a defense mechanism when we're really unconscious around how I'm not loving myself, or what am I not appreciating about myself, or what are my biggest wounds, what have I told myself that make me feel bad about me. One of my things in relationship was I'm not fun enough. I really honestly believe that my first relationship broke down because I was too serious, because I wasn't fun enough. I'm actually in the right situation. I was just highly vigilant because of all the other stuff that was going on in that relationship. It didn't feel safe to actually be playful and have fun because I was too busy trying to protect myself. So, you know, I'm super fun and super quirky when I'm in that great space for myself, when I feel like I'm being who I really am. So again, like, challenge some of these triggers that come up for you, or what is it that you're saying to yourself, or if somebody criticizes you about something or says something and it goes in deep, you will know that's, oh wow, what am I believing about myself with that? Because we'll only accept from others that which we actually believe is true for ourselves, or that we're kind of a bit borderline around. So nobody can make you feel a particular way. This is another way that we give away our power by saying, but they made me feel this way. They made me feel small. They made me feel insignificant. They made me so angry. Stop blaming. You've got to come back. I made myself angry because I was believing this, this, and this. Or you know, I've hurt myself because I've criticized myself and told myself I'm overweight, or I'm not this, or I'm not good enough, or I'm, you know, like whatever it is. But take that responsibility. Where are you sticky? No, that sounds funny saying that. Live from your heart. So this is a great quality question. Again, you might want to write this down. If I was 100% taking responsibility for my money, life, and happiness right now, I would. What is it that you would do today? What is it that you would do differently if you were already taking 100% responsibility for your life, for your happiness, for your money? And you might want to ask those individually. So if I was taking 100% responsibility for my money, today I'd set up that other savings account, I'd work out my budget, or I'd figure out what it is that I need to do, or I'd do the inner work on my inner beliefs. Like it could be any, or, you know, none of those. If I was 100% taking responsibility for my happiness, I'd stop having those calls with people that drain my energy and make me feel like rubbish, but I stay on them and I never actually tell people and set clear boundaries with my time, but then I'm resentful and angry at them afterwards. It was something I did for a long time. So it's like I have super clear boundaries around, you know, being on the phone, because like a lot of my, obviously, like I do coaching sessions and everything else, but and I love that. I absolutely love that. It's really empowering for me to do that. But for a long time, I felt like I needed to be the helper. I needed to be the overgiver in every single one of my relationships. So I'd end up on a 2.5-hour phone call with, you know, somebody else, a loved one, or, you know, a friend or somebody else in my life. And then I'd be so angry afterwards because I wouldn't have got done what I wanted to, but I'd be blaming them as opposed to, hang on a second, Sally, take responsibility. Where were you not clear? You know, and I'll let people know up front, hey, I've got 10 minutes. Hey, yeah, would love to chat. Or sorry, I'm super busy. You know, I can't connect until this date or this time or whatever. So it's up to us to manage our life, to manage our happiness. What is it that you need for you that would really have you feeling great within yourself? So you create your own destiny with your beliefs and with what is going on, your subconscious programming. Now that's the challenge. Just like what I was sharing about my brother, I was so unconscious around it. It was subconsciously running so much of my life and so much of the program around who I believed that I needed to be. Now, Joe Dispenza says by the time that we're 30, 95% of who we are is automatic. Now, what that actually means is that all of that has come from subconscious programming. It's like learning to drive the car. At first, when we're driving the car or learning to drive, you know, we're super conscious. I have to change the gears. I have to assume when we've done it enough times, when we've repeated that behavior, when we've repeated that personality, when we've repeated that feeling, that emotion, that belief again and again and again, now we're doing it without even knowing that we're actually doing that. And so we just believe, oh, that's just who I am. But you get to change any of this. The brain is so plastic. like the neuroplasticity and the trials and the scientific evidence around that now. The brain is so crazy plastic. It is malleable, like you can change it, and sometimes, you know, it does take a lot of conscious effort to break some of those old patterns and those old pathways, because you've got to wire and fire those new neurons together in order to create the new behavior. But now it's just the same as driving a car. You've got to consciously think through those steps every single time until now it becomes a repeatable behavioral pattern or feeling that you can create again and again and again, but easily without actually having to think about it. And that's what I trained myself to from being a victim and being in self-pity. I lived in self-pity, anger and resentment and grief, and I trained myself to the vibration of gratitude. Now, I'm not in gratitude all the time, but can I get back there super fast? Yes, absolutely, because I've trained myself to do it again and again and again. Was it difficult initially? Absolutely. It was like, I'm not there yet. It's so hard. So this brings us back to mastering our emotions. I have no idea of the time either. I feel like I've really gone over, guys. So I do apologize if I'm over time. I did take off my watch, and I haven't got my phone on me. So I'm just going to roll with it and keep going. But the one who's mastered his emotions is mightier than one who conquers a city. This is so true. You have so much power when you are the master of your emotions, regardless of what event, what circumstance. You can always come back to a centered place within yourself. It is a choice. Now, it may not feel like a choice at the time, particularly if you're feeling powerless around something, but there is always a choice. And I'm going to give you a couple of tools in order to be able to do that. Things that I use and implement daily. And this is the emotional guidance scale. I love this scale. If you guys want, I'm more than happy to share this with you. I might actually send it out in an email afterwards for those of you that haven't got this. I know quite a few of you have this already. Some of you already have it printed out and run it on your wall, or not run it on your wall, but I know Christy definitely has, so she's nodding her head there, absolutely. This has been a lifesaver for me, and this is where you connect back to your inner power, guys. So you can do this on money, you can do this on relationships, but you can also do it on anything else in your life that's got your attention. If you've had a run-in with a friend and you're wanting to clear up your energy around it, this is honestly where you want to go. Like if you're feeling anger or frustration, then you work your way up the scale. So the way this works is you pick one subject. So that subject, I'm going to use money for now, simply because obviously, you know, we're talking about money and we're talking about relationships. So money generally gets most people's attention because we've got a lot of funky energy around it. There's so much stuff from society, you know, it's bad, it's wrong, we shouldn't have too much. Oh, we need more money though. So now we feel hooked into it. Now we feel needy or insecure, or we've given our power away, because when we feel insecure about money, guess where we are on the emotional guidance scale? We're not anywhere near empowerment. Empowerment's at the top. And so that's when we feel inner power. We feel like anything's possible when we're fully connected with our own inner power. Now, your emotions dictate so much of where you're actually at within your own power at any given time. And you'll know this because when I say, you know, about fear and grief and depression and despair and powerlessness, how do you feel in your body? Do you have more power or less power? For most people, they feel really apathetic. They feel like they can't get off the couch. They're exhausted. They don't want to deal with life. What's the point? Why worry? Like, it's just like, I'm just done with it. Like, I'm out of here. I'm so done. This is just, I can't change it. I can't do anything. We're apathetic. We're not taking action. It's generally, and grief, if you've ever experienced strong grief, you know, it's a very powerless emotion as well. It's like very paralyzing, as is fear. And so as we move up the emotional guidance scale, you know, if you think about anger, anger has so much more energy in it. There's a lot more power in energy. Generally, we're throwing things, or we want to throw things or punch things. Hopefully we don't act on that. Sorry, my headphones keep pulling out. Hopefully we don't act on that, but you know, there's so much more energy in that. If you think about discouragement or blame or worry is much lighter emotion than anger. So again, we're feeling greater and greater power. And if you think it's, you know, a battery, you know, we're starting to fill up when we get past the frustration or perhaps even boredom. Boredom is such a neutral energy. If you think about boredom, it's kind of like, on board. Like, it's a nothing energy. It's such a neutral energy. Step into curiousness. Oh my God, I'm curious how this might change. Any of you, you know, if you've experienced that curious anticipation just before Christmas, and sometimes, you know, that might go more into excitement or positive expectation or enthusiasm. But for me, I love the energy of curious anticipation. Oh, I wonder what this is going to be like. Oh my God, it's going to be like present. This is so cool. I wonder what's going to show up for me today. I wonder how this is going to shift and change. Wonder how this is going to benefit me. So they're all really great quality questions to ask yourself to step into that next level of curiosity. Again, contentment, hopefulness, optimism, and we're stepping into greater and greater and greater energy. Now, you know, when you're fully connected with your inner power, that is like the highest level where it's like, oh my God, my life is amazing. That's when we're in love. That's where and if you've ever fallen in love, like if you remember, particularly that first week or that first month where you're just like, oh my God, I'm in so much love. My life is so incredible. Or you're really proud of yourself. You've just like done something and you're like, oh my God, I totally rocked it. That felt amazing. Now we're in joy. Now we're in gratitude. Now we're in bliss. All of that. Now you're fully connected with your power. So you will know at any given point in time, if you feel less than that, somewhere you're giving away your power, guys. Somewhere you're leaking your own energy. You're giving that energy out of your solar plexus. You're going, oh my God. And now you're buying into an external circumstance or event. Well, that made me so angry. Now you've just let go of your power. And we all do this. Not to say I don't do that still. I still do, but I can shift so fast. I recognize it and then bring myself back on track. Some things, depending on what they are, like this family situation, pull me, you know, like I couldn't get my eyes off it. I couldn't kind of free myself up until I started to do some of the inner work and come back on track with this. It was really holding my attention. And then other things, you know, I can like recognize it, go, yeah, I'm getting pulled. I'm coming out of my self-center. So we talk about self-centeredness. Self-centeredness is a brilliant thing. It is not selfish. Selfish is being in anger or rage and going, oh my God, and making it all about ourselves, because our ego survival mind is so scared that it's now in the fight for survival. So it's me against you. Self-centeredness, really taking self-responsibility, is actually the most loving and kind thing that we can ever do in our relationships. You are not responsible for other people's happiness or for filling their bucket. That is their job. And if you've taken that on for anybody, or if anybody expects that from you, definitely have a conversation with them about it, because it's their job for their happiness and your job for your happiness. The more, and this is where responsibility really gets mixed, because if I believe I'm responsible for other people's feelings, now I'm taking responsibility for that, but now I'm in anger or I'm in resentment. Why aren't they feeling better? Because now I'm responsible for that. So now I need to control them in order for me to feel better. So I'm not taking responsibility for my own happiness or my emotions. So while we take on extra responsibility, we actually push the proper responsibility away at the same time. And this is often what causes conflict in relationships, because we're over responsible in one area and under responsible for actually what we need to truly be responsible for, which is our own happiness. So this is such a powerful tool. I use this daily. Of course, you know, this is completely up to you guys, but noticing, where do you give away your power? Where does your energy drop? Where do your emotions drop? Because the second that they're dropping from empowerment, freedom, gratitude, now you're disconnecting from your own power. And, you know, it might sound like a tall ask. However, when we are in that state of fully connected to our own inner power, that is where life gets easier than ever before. Your money flow will increase in such a powerful way. You will line up with synchronistic opportunities. You're no longer trying to swim upstream, guys. You're in the stream. You're in the flow of life, and life shows up for you in such a powerful and miraculous way. And I cannot tell you how many miracles, how many synchronicities, how many incredible life events have actually happened, particularly when I've absolutely needed them to, just from doing this work and from getting connected to a state of gratitude as if that thing has already happened. I've created my entire life now probably 95%, 96% of my life is exactly the way that I consciously designed it. I used to curl up in the fetal position and cry in the bathroom for half an hour and force myself to get into a shower before I got into the shower and got ready to go to a job that I absolutely hated. You know, I was devastated. I couldn't be there for my family in the way that I truly wanted to be, particularly my kids. I just felt dead. I did not like particularly a couple of the people that I worked with. It felt like an incredibly toxic environment. And I got to shift and change all of that. And it didn't happen all at once. A lot of that was built over a 5 to 10-year period. But that's okay. Like, you know, these days I get to create a 6-figure income, doing what I love, working with people that I absolutely, absolutely love and adore. And, you know, get to live life the way that I truly want, sharing what inspires me, sharing what's truly on my heart. So you get to create all of this in such a powerful and amazing way. I'm reshaping my body currently, and I've done that before in the past in such a powerful way. And also, you know, created the relationship that truly, truly lights my heart up. Again, it was a 4-year process, and it will continue to evolve and grow, because as humans, we're meant to continue evolving and growing. So the way that you use the emotional guidance scale is to start wherever you are emotionally, work your way up through that scale. So if you're currently in rage, you know, I feel so angry about this, or I'm filled with rage about this particular situation. I feel like this sense of revenge. You may feel like you need to punish yourself, or you want to punish others. I'm so angry about this. I feel so discouraged about this situation. I'm blaming myself, or I'm blaming them for this. I'm so worried about this situation. I doubt that it will change quickly. I'm so overwhelmed and disappointed with what I'm actually feeling right now with my money or whatever situation it is. I'm frustrated. God, I just want this to change. I feel so impatient. I'm pessimistic. I'm bored with this. I'm so bored with this. Oh my God, this has been my life story. I'm bored of doing this. I'm curious. I'm curious how this might start to change. I'm courageous to look at my money story differently. I'm content. Oh my God, if I think about it, wow, I am actually feeling a lot better within myself, but I'm also content. I can recognize now I have come some way from where I used to be. I am feeling more hopeful. And you just take yourself as high as you can, guys. If you can't get to empowerment or freedom, don't beat yourself up about that. You know, over the days, just keep working towards that. And pretty soon you'll be like feeling more enthusiasm. You'll be feeling more passion again about your life, and be in that really strong state of appreciation. So it's a powerful, powerful tool. Another tool, you can bring energy back down into your body. This is such a powerful, powerful tool as well. So you can just imagine that there's this beautiful white light coming down through your crown of your head and down, and imagine that each of these chakras, so the light, so you start with the red one. I don't know whether you guys can see the red one right at the base, but you start with the red one. Fill that up. Imagine that it's like a big beach balloon, and fill that up with white light. And then after you feel like, oh, that feels actually full, and you'll get like, that might sound funny to say, but you'll get a really subtle, I guess, feeling around, oh, that feels full. It feels better. And then move on to the next one. So then you do the orange one, then you do the yellow one, then do the green one, the blue, and the indigo, and then the violet. So as you go through, you'll feel your body like literally start to expand. This does so much for the energy within our body, and if anything, it will just have you feeling better, but it's honest to God doing so much more than that. Lay down your weapons in your relationships. So if you have previously used either consciously or unconsciously manipulation, if you have used either consciously or unconsciously controlling type behaviors, you need to, you should, you've placed expectations, or you've placed, you know, a neediness upon others. Well, they need to be there for me. They should be there for me. Time to lay down your weapon. If you've ever threatened continually, well, I'm going to leave. If you don't stop this, I'm going to leave. That's a weapon, guys. We've got it. That will always keep you disempowered. Have the honest conversation. Leave if you need to leave. Stay if you truly choose to stay, but stay with your whole heart and be committed to doing the inner work first with yourself. And as you change, that situation will either drop away, or you'll realign yourself with the right situation for yourself. And this was really actually what happened in my first marriage. I didn't realize that I was creating that to start with. I didn't have the courage to leave, but the universe conspired and literally created that situation where my former husband actually left me. And so in hindsight, it was just such a blessing, but I couldn't see that at the time, and I didn't realize how I'd actually created that. I dreamed again and again and again of creating this incredible soulmate relationship, and I can promise you guys, there are so many moments when he's either singing to me, he's got an amazing voice, or we're, you know, dancing in the kitchen together, or being playful and silly, or hiking in the mountains, or traveling somewhere, or talking about spiritual principles together, or any of that stuff where I'm like, I remember the exact moment where I felt so disempowered in my last relationship, where I yearned for this, I wanted this, and it took me to create, you know, stepping into the energy that I could actually have this, where it empowered me to actually create that relationship as well. So we've got to lay down our weapons and stop using the control or the and start to use the inner connection. You are such a powerful influence when you actually step into that inner connection for yourself, and you influence so many more people from that state of being, rather than placing need or expectation on anything. Because the second, which is why I've got this question, do you need money? And it seems like an obvious question. Most people would be like, well, of course I need money. I need money to pay for my rent or my mortgage or to pay for food. But if you think about needy type energy, when you naturally believe you can just have money, when you're being in the state of abundance, when you're being in the state of wealth, now you're connected to your power, guys. When you believe that you need something, I need my boyfriend, or I need my relationship in order to feel okay. That's horrible, horrible energy. And if you've ever been in a relationship with somebody that has had that needy energy, or you've seen that in yourself, you know it's like not great energy. And money is no different. Money represents that same level of relationship with self. So if you feel insecure, remember, insecurity is second from the bottom on the emotional guidance scale, you're out of empowerment. You're disconnected from your own inner power around money. So the more that we can release the need that I need money, and we step into a beingness state as if I've already got it. So how would you feel if that wasn't an issue? Now you're more connected with your power again. And a lot of people get bugged by this, because it's like, no, but you don't get it. Like, I need money in order to feel that way. And it's like, no, the way that the law of attraction works, the way that we can make our life so much easier, and the way that we connect to our own inner power around money or relationships, is by connecting as if that thing has already happened already, by being in such a state of power, empowerment. Oh my God, I'm so grateful. This is who I'm being. We're already worthy. We're already deserving. There's none of that stuff. If we're in unworthiness, we're second from the bottom. We are so disconnected from our own power. The more that we step into that state of as if it's already done, now you've reconnected with your full power. Now the battery's full. Now life can bring you the circumstances. Now life can bring you the synchronistic opportunities. Now life can bring you that amazing inspirational idea of that new business that you want, or that new situation that you want to create for yourself, either in life or in business or in money or in relationship. But you cannot get there from needing anything, because when you need something, you're in the energy of lack, of scarcity, of fear. And you're just going to attract more of those situations or circumstances into your life. So it's a huge one where most people give away their power because they believe their sense of security depends upon how much money they have or having enough money. Now, I can promise you, I actually know people. I have a client that's a financial advisor, and she has clients that have $20 million in their bank accounts or in cash investments or different investments. They're freaking out. They haven't got enough money. No amount of money will ever cure your feeling of insecurity with money. It won't solve that problem. The problem needs to be solved internally first, and then you can have whatever amount of money. And I know when I'm in the vibe of money, I am such a powerful, powerful creator. I literally doubled my income in January in 4 days just from stepping into that vibe. Now, I've had to work through some other guilt and money shame that was sabotaging me, where it was just like I wanted to totally, give that away because it seemed to happen way too easily, way too quick. What are people going to think of me? There was all this stuff that comes up. So again, you know, just because you've been doing this work for a little bit doesn't mean, or a long time perhaps, doesn't mean that stuff's still not going to come up, because life is actually cyclic, and all of that becomes cyclic. Your inner power comes from who you're being. Make decisions from love, not fear. Often we'll go, oh my God, yeah, I'm really, I'm so scared about this, or I'm scared about not having enough money. And in that, like, you'll know whether you're making a decision from love or from fear. Love will be like, oh my God, that feels amazing. You may still make the exact same decision, but the energy behind it will feel very, very differently. If you're making a decision from fear, you will notice contraction within yourself. You'll notice your body will get tight and tense. So be really conscious of that as well too, guys. Like, if you do notice that the decision is being made from fear, come back to, what does my heart say? What does my heart guidance say around this? What goals is it that you are yet to pursue? Get clear on your goals. Clarity is everything. And when you're clear about that, use the emotional guidance scale in order to get into the state as if that's already happened. So if you've got a big goal, but you're fearful that you won't be able to create it or achieve it, run the emotional guidance scale on that daily. It's very powerful. How to release disempowering beliefs. So quite a few of my clients actually, you know, I've ran through this many, many times with them. Again, you might want to take a screenshot of this or quickly write down those beliefs. I'll leave it up there for a second. But this is honestly like how I've released so many disempowering beliefs. And it's because the mind goes, oh my God, when it can see how much that belief is actually hurting us from having that belief, then it's like holding a hot coal from out of the fire. We let go of it when we realize that thought or that belief is actually burning us. So how do I feel when I believe the thought? You know, can I absolutely know it's true? And I've found 99.999% of the time it's actually not true. If I had to answer yes forever. How do I feel when I believe the thought? I feel tight, I feel tense, so I'm not enough. Can I absolutely know that's true? How do I feel when I believe the thought? I feel like I'm not enough. I feel worthless. I feel sad. I feel depressed. I feel angry. Like, it could be, you know, lots of those different emotions. Who do I become and what do I do when I believe the thought if I'm not enough? And I'm just using that as an example, obviously. So if I'm not enough, I shrink down, I become small, I limit myself, I feel a sense of shame, I feel bad, I feel unworthy, I don't want to show up in the world, I don't want to socialize, I might emotionally eat, or I might just find myself doing particular behaviors, or just wanting to go to bed, or just wanting to sleep. So how do I feel if I didn't believe the thought, or the thought just didn't exist? Oh my God, I feel calmer, I feel okay. Now, initially, when you do this work, if you've believed that belief for a long period of time, you might find it difficult in order to be able to really shift that belief, or to feel the difference of having that belief or not having that belief. Because sometimes when we've believed a thought long enough, it's just like it's been there for so long that it's hard to know how it would be without it. So keep doing the work, or try and imagine how would somebody feel if they didn't have that belief. Quite often that can be enough just to crack it open a little bit. Who do I become and what do I do without the thought? Oh my God, I just get playful, I get fun. I just show up in a way that feels really good for me, that feels really fantastic. So much of this is so powerful as well, just to be able to question our thoughts and beliefs. So where to from here? Really learn the art of manifestation. So if, and I've ran you through everything that we've spoken about today about stepping into your inner power, is really about the manifestation. It's about aligning yourself with that highest vibration, with that highest energy, with that highest feeling or thought within you that feels amazing. And it's so powerful, like really stepping into that, because that's where we're connected to our own inner power. Therefore, you don't need to try and control external circumstances. You magnetize yourself to bringing the circumstances that you desire and crave the most towards you. So whether that's money, whether it's a great relationship, take back your power by doing the inner work. So I've shared some powerful tools with you guys. A lot of you use these on a daily basis. basis. But if you haven't used these tools before, I would really strongly encourage you, take some time to actually sit down, do some of the inner work. This work I do daily on myself. So when I notice things coming up, I'm always shifting, I'm always growing, I'm releasing stuff, I'm letting go of some of those older identities that no longer serve me, like I'm not enough, or I'm not thin enough, or I need more certificates, or I need more qualifications, or I need to be more of this or less of that. So I'm always releasing limiting beliefs, because that allows you to continue to expand and grow. I love this picture because it's really about stepping into that feminine energy, loving you, whoever you are, however you are right now. Don't place that conditional love on yourself. It really is about loving and appreciating yourself as you are right now. And self-love really is the crux of this work, in terms of giving yourself back that full power. Because until you value and love yourself, you will, like, you'll put up with less than what you actually deserve. Life will pay you whatever you ask of it. And when we don't value ourselves, we don't ask for much. And life is so accommodating. It will always bring us what we believe that we're worthy or deserving of. You are worthy and deserving of everything and more. But quite often our limiting beliefs will tell us differently to that. So question that. And if you're triggered by outside stuff, clear that up for yourself, bring yourself back, identify your blind spots. Now, this can be tricky, like I said. So if you feel that this really resonates with you, maybe send me a PM on Facebook, on Messenger, and let me know, and we can have a chat and see if and how we might be able to work together to clear up some of these blind spots. If you know there's stuff going on, but you're not quite sure how to attack it, or how to love it, and free it and release it, please let me know, because there's so much gold within this. And in my experience, you only, even when you focus on one area of life, whether that's health or whether that's money or that's relationship, every other area of life is also elevated, because generally what beliefs we have in one particular area of life are also transferred into those other areas as well. So it's very powerful. Be prepared to go deep. So this is not for the faint-hearted. This is not for people that are just like surface level or shallow, where it's just like, oh, how's the weather? You're not so invested. You hate your emotions. You don't want to go deep. It does take courage and vulnerability, guys, to really dig deep on this. I have gone through countless boxes of tissues doing this work. A lot of it's been highly emotional for me, because I'm releasing deep hurts and triggers that I've held for a lifetime. I'm 42 now, and like some of that stuff been there since I've been like 1 or 2, 3, 4 years old. So some of it's deeply, deeply embedded, and you won't clear it just by like dabbling on the surface with this stuff. You've got to be prepared to actually feel a depth within your emotions, which is not comfortable at times. And I recognize that, and I truly admire anybody that is willing to go to that depth and that level as well for themselves. So discover what your personal energetic signature is to fully step into your power. Guys, this has just been you. That's all it is. It's not some special sequence. It's not some special vibration. It's none of that. It's just when you are authentically joyous and happy, when you're like, oh my God, I love who I am. I love my life. It could be, if that's difficult for you to reach, it could be, when have your most joyous moments been? I feel, the energy of gratitude, or the signature of gratitude or appreciation, is pretty close to that vibration for me. Like, it's just like, oh, my heart feels so full. Oh my God, life feels wonderful. I'm loving life. Love, again, is another one of those feelings when you feel deeply in love, or deeply loved within yourself. So you're loving yourself deeply. Again, this is that energetic signature, really, just to step into your full power. Just being yourself. You're always in a cycle, guys. So you're always going to be moving through particular emotions and particular events and circumstances within your life that buck your current, that really make things challenging at times. We all go through a winter, and that's where things aren't working so well, and it's a powerful time to do the inner work at those times. Other times you're going to be high vibing. It's going to be easy to just be in that great state. You're going to be in summer. You're going to be reaping your harvest. Things are going to have worked out really well for you. But other times you're going to be in the trenches. trenches, you're going to be like, oh my God, because every level that you continue to go up and expand through, there's always going to be stuff to clear up in that level. And a lot of the time it's similar or the same stuff, just at a deeper level, simply because the higher we go, the deeper that we've got to clear our limiting beliefs, because initially it's just kind of like a little bit of that surface stuff, but then we've got to be prepared to go a lot deeper in terms of getting the greater results. Because if you're not creating the money you want, it's because of the limiting beliefs and the habitual emotions that you experience around money. Full stop. That's it. It's the only thing that's actually disempowering you or stopping you or taking away your own inner power. You're actually giving your power away to those limiting beliefs. So we're always in a cycle, guys. So it's just recognizing that can sometimes be helpful as well in just freeing our energy, not beating yourself up if you are in the trenches doing some deep, heavy work. I kind of feel like I've literally been through winter, and it's obviously winter at the moment where we are. But I really relate with that season at the moment. I really feel like we've been in the trenches, but man, I can feel spring and it is coming. And I know in the feeling that I have, and I've done a lot to really increase my vibration again recently, and to step back into that higher vibe. And I absolutely know without a shadow of a doubt, cool things are on their way. So I'm excited. And then it's just a rinse and repeat process. So once you learn these skills, once you apply these skills, it is like learning these skills for life as well. And so that's why I'm so passionate as well about my Manifest Your Money course. And this is a 5-week deep dive course. And for quite a few of you on here, you've done the course. And as you guys know, you're very much invited to come back and actually do the manifesting course again, because this is you have unlimited access to it. So you can come back and resit the course anytime that you want, but you're also invited when I'm running the course again. And I'm kicking this off on the 2nd of September. It's really about getting clear, particularly on those money beliefs. But what you're going to learn is a skill set that serves you not only with money, but also in your relationships, with your health, with your business, or with any area of life. Maybe it's with your kids, where you can really start to become the powerful influencer that you were born to be. Because when we're fully connected with that inner power, like I showed on the emotional guidance scale, when you're in that state, now you really start to influence things in a very powerful way. And somebody that's connected to their full energy and power is way more powerful than millions combined that are in a disempowered or apathetic state. So I'm really excited to share this with you. This has been my whole process to take myself from $300 a week into creating a 6-figure income, doing what I actually really love. And so it's really about learning how to manifest and be in that emotional vibration to attract what it is that you're wanting. Clear those limiting self-sabotages that we've spoken about, and open yourself up to receiving. No longer deflect those compliments. This is all about being in a receptive state, in a state of gratitude, in a state of feeling like, oh my God, can this get any better? This is amazing. And you know when you've had those moments, right? Or many of you will. So overcome under earning. And I think this is really, really important, whether people are earning, 40,000 income or 60,000, 80,000, 100, 200, 300, 500. If you feel that there is way more potential, and there's been women that, have literally been earning, $1 million, $2 million incomes, but they knew that there was more in them. They knew that they weren't fulfilling their full potential of what they absolutely could create. Then we're still holding ourselves back. We're still limiting ourselves. We're still pulling ourselves back with those limiting beliefs. So if you really know that you absolutely could be creating more, doing more. Perhaps, you've got some doubts about that or some fear about that. But if you really know in your heart of hearts that how you're showing up or what you're doing at the moment, that you're holding back, that you're playing smaller than what you know you were born for, then 100% this course is absolutely for you. It's about releasing the resistance, getting into inspiration. When we're coming from that disempowered masculine push energy, get out of my way, I've got to make things happen, where we're forcing things, it's so challenging. It's so challenging. So all of this you'll learn in the course, as well as, so you get the 5 weeks of online trainings, lifetime access. So the value for that's $450. Get 5 weeks of live videos to overcome any challenges. So that's where you reach out to me. You can send me a PM, or you can put a message in the closed Facebook group and say, hey Sal, this is where I'm bumping up against, and you get that addressed within the 5 weeks. So I'll be in the group over that 5-week period and be answering any questions that you guys have, as well as doing the live videos. You get incredible online support group with a like-minded group of women. If you've ever felt judged, or felt like you haven't fitted in with other women, perhaps there's not been other growth-orientated women or personal development women around you, which I know can happen from time to time. And I know for myself, it was really important to create an empathetic but super supportive and like cheerleaders that are like so excited and so happy, not jealous, not narky, not judging you for getting your goals. You know, somebody that like truly celebrates with you, then that's powerful. And I'm also offering, because I recognize the power of gratitude, I'm offering that course 100% free as well. That normally retails at $47. Plus, I'm going to throw in a bonus of creating your soulmate relationship training. Now, the value of this is $97. This is where you might be already in a relationship, but you can actually really powerfully transform that relationship. And I can, hand on my heart, I've done this again and again in my own relationship. And it's crazy when you align yourself, when you step into being that powerful influencer, you have so much more power than what you actually give yourself. And none of it, you don't have to control any of it. You get to create it the way that you want. Now, if you're single currently at the moment and you're looking to create a relationship, you will not want to miss out on this training. It is so powerful. I've taken my clients through this process so many times, and they are astounded with what actually comes up, because quite often we are actually wanting something from other that we're actually not providing for ourselves. And until we provide it for ourselves and do the action around that for ourselves, you're not going to be a magnet for that person. So it's a it's a powerful training, not only to create the ideal relationship, which, you know, if we flip it around, it is just nothing more than a reflection of the relationship that you truly have with yourself. So it is a really powerful training. You'll have way more self-love after doing it, as well as obviously have a greater relationship where you're creating so many win-win situations. And then also I'm offering a 30-minute health coaching session as well to improve your energy. If you don't feel good physically, it's really difficult to hit those higher vibrational levels as well. So the more that we can take care of your health and well-being physically, then that's going to help you emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as well to hit those extra levels as well. So all of that value is worth $941. But for today, I will give you guys, for taking part in the webinar, it's only $397 as an upfront payment, or if the payment plan works much better for you, it's $45 for a 10 lots of weekly payments there as well. So I truly hope, if that really speaks to you, I will definitely put the link. I'm just thinking where I will actually put the link. I'll send out an email later today with that in there as well. So there'll be a link in there and you guys will be able to connect to that. I'll also be sending out the replay again. So feel free, like if this has really spoken to you, or you feel like it's really empowered you in lots of ways, feel free to share that with any other women in your life as well, that this can empower and inspire, simply because, you know, we are all here to help each other rise up. And I think the more that we can all do that, the more that we connect with that inner power, with that self-love, the more abundance, the more wonderful things that we can do with money in our world in a way that is a force for good, is so powerful. And I think, you know, for our kids, you know, we're setting them up with so much opportunity to be able to be free and be themselves. And I think there's no greater gift that we can give our kids than that ability to be able to make the right decisions for themselves, to not feel like they need to be the good girl or the pleaser or to pull back or contract their energy, the more inspired and magnificent that we're living into our life, the more we get to share that with others and inspire other women and other people, other men, and humanity as a whole to rise energetically. And I think that that is such a great gift to be able to give to the world as well. So I want to say a massive, massive gratitude to you all. Thank you so much for tuning in to today. And if this has spoken to you, if this has resonated, you know, again, like I'd love any feedback that you guys have. I will jump in and just answer any questions that you have as well. So I just want to bring up the chat. And yes, look, absolutely. I just want to address, somebody's just asked me around if we've had a hysterectomy, can we create new things creatively? Yes, absolutely. We still have that energy system within our body. I actually no longer have a gallbladder or tonsils, but the gallbladder has a very specific meridian energy within the body. You still absolutely have that energy within your body, so you can still utilize that in a powerful way, and it would actually be really beneficial for your body to be able to really feel that creative energy flowing again quite often, and so you can still tap into that energy. You can visualize that within yourself. And in other trainings I've also shared, you know, just even about the ovaries, sensing your ovaries, your right and your left ovary, and how the energy is flowing. So the energy should be in somebody that's feeling healthy and is well adjusted, balanced. The energy flows quite positively out from the right ovary, because the right side is all about the outside world. It's more of our masculine energy, but it's what we're giving to the world. And then the left ovary receives the energy. So if we are blocked in receiving because we've felt scared about what we've received in the past, or it hasn't felt good to receive, I know that was certainly me sexually years ago. So it was very closed off and very shut down in my heart energy around all of that. So the more that we can open that up, and you'll get a sense in your ovaries, and you might just want to do a quick visualization around this or feel into your right ovary and left ovary. Really should feel like nice and warm and soft, like a pulsing type energy as well. So absolutely super, super powerful to be able to step into that. As you're doing that, then you'll actually notice, so if that energy is not flowing properly from the left and the right ovary, then the energy won't actually build in a way that's truly beneficial for you within the uterus area as well, even if you've had a hysterectomy. So the more that you can kind of tune in, even if you've had your ovaries removed, I know with some hysterectomies they do take the ovaries or don't take the ovaries, but you'll still be able to energetically sense what's actually going on with I guess the energy imprint of those organs within your body as well. So I hope that's been really helpful, and so great to have you all on here. And absolutely can definitely get a copy of the list I just read as well. I will send that out in the email with the feminine masculine. I'm assuming that's what you're speaking about there as well too, Jen. And like I said, thank you again so much for your presence on here. It's just been an absolute gift to me being able to share all of this as well. And have an amazing day, guys. If I can answer any questions as well, please feel free just to respond to the email or send me a message on Messenger. So big love, guys. Have an amazing rest of your day. Lots of love. Bye.